Jaco Visagie and Captain Mziwakhe. What we'll do for guys online, we'll start with colleagues in the room, and then thereafter we'll shift to online for about 3 questions. Let's take some from the floor, please. Space.
Coach, just your thoughts on the game. Big victory, sort of strong defensive effort, quite big also.
Yeah, we were quite sort of apprehensive in light of not having played a warm-up game due to 1 or 2 things. So I thought we were light in the context. We were apprehensive around that, but I think as the game went on, we found ourselves, in particular in the collisions and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a start. We wanted a good start, so we'll take it. If you gave it to us at the start of the game, we would have taken it.
As Rugby's coming in, how big of an input has he had in terms of your back three, especially?
Yeah, Angelo is a different one because obviously he's looked for greener pastures up here. Didn't get much playing time in Cape Town, had an injury. He's probably played 1 game or 3 games in two seasons, so incredibly rusty. So good to see him get on the scoreboard. We saw him sacking the big ones a little bit there. So yeah, that's also part of our job, is to sharpen the guys who are coming in who perhaps didn't get a big chunk of game time in the URC.
Jaco, how was it playing with the youngsters coming in today?
To be honest, I don't feel there's a difference. It's more or less the same group as last year, and we actually each year before the campaign we get together as a group, and we actually said there's no such thing as youngsters in our team. Obviously, yeah, maybe you're a bit younger, but you won't be treated as a youngster. So yeah, I think the guys contributed very well. Obviously there is some areas we have to improve, and I'm sure you'll ask that question just now.
Right. Simon? No. I just want to know, he's on, how serious is his injury and what happened there?
Yeah, it's quite serious. It looks like a season ender. So we're probably going to try and get back to Joburg sooner rather than later. In light of Izan's injury, the prospects aren't great. And without revealing too much, due to Poppy Act, yeah, he's probably out for the season. So we've got to scramble hard. I've just met the CEO. We've got to scramble hard and try and source another, open side flanker sooner rather than later.
Mziwakhe, Jaco's touched on it that your team tonight is a lot more experienced than the Sharks team, but just in terms of the level of performance, how happy were you? The set pieces in particular seem to be really good, and you guys managed to get the ball out wide very effectively as well.
Yeah, we probably more settled. I wouldn't say more experienced, but I think we're more settled team. Nico Stan's only just turned 22. Judkins has only just turned 23. So Esia Kosa hasn't turned 22 yet. He's still 21. Arab Skuman hasn't turned 22 yet. So, but we probably a whole lot more settled than we are experienced. He spoke about guys being young and not being young. Esia, when he came on, I thought he made a difference. So, yeah, we're probably a whole lot more settled. We probably got the rub of the green from being a more settled group than what JP and them are, more than anything.
Happy with the level of performance. I mean, on the scoreboard it looks great, but
yeah, happy. Like I said, happy with the level of performance. We went, like I said, we're a bit apprehensive having not played a warm-up game, whereas the Pumas have played 2 or 3, Krikos have played 2 or 3, Province have played 2, so us and the Bulls have gone in cold. So we were apprehensive, before today, but it's good that 1, we got the covers out, and 2, we got a result like we got.
What would you say are the work-ons for your team?
Yeah, I think we're just a bit rusty from a collision point of view. But that's to be expected. If you don't play a warm-up game, a live scrum, live ball, live breakdown, which is always difficult to simulate in training. You don't want to come out with too many injuries. And we've already got a large part of our junior group in the squad already. So yeah, so I think as and when the trainings go on, as and when we play more games, we'll get better contact-wise. That was really our biggest apprehension, and I think as the game grew, in particular in the second half, we got a whole lot better at that.
Do you think that can be why the team started a bit slow in the first half, in the first 20 minutes or so?
Yeah, that was challenging. I think we worked out in the first half. The bowling play was so low. If you think about it, I think there were 3 2 or more checks. There was 2 HIAs and I think 1 or 2 guys who went down. So there wasn't really flow in the game, and I don't think that was due to any team. That was just due to those above mentioned stoppages.
And would you say one thing that I noticed a few times, it looked like there were some overlaps, but the players decided to kick the ball.
Yeah, I think that's where we get with coming in, having played a few games. There's a bit of rustiness. The decision making will get sharper as the longer the competition gets. But the positive is we've played a game now. We know where we stand as a group, and as Jaco said, we've got a marker in the sand, so we know what to improve on and what not to improve on. If that makes sense, we came in blind, so to speak.
And looking forward to the next game next Saturday, Western Province also coming here.
Yeah, Province have always been a challenging one for us. I know they're coaching extremely well from the touch circles, Labib Levy, so he's always a crafty one. I watched a little bit of the start of their game now, and they'll be good, no doubt about that. In particular with the injection of all those 7 stars, Nortje and Shelton van Wyk and Zane Davids. So they'll pose a much different threat than what they've posed in previous seasons.
Thanks.
Thanks, Walter. Guys, can we jump online? Jan, Carl, Albert, anything from you guys?
There we go. Sorry.
Yes, Jan, go for it.
I heard about the injuries. The big thing was the injury, and I think Coach touched on the injuries. I'm all good.
Carl, anything from you? Albert?
I'm also all good, thanks.
Anything from the floor? We'll go space and then we'll go Ken.
Coach, and to you, Jaco, the Springboks have been based here for a couple of weeks before the incoming tour. How's that been like for this group in learning the Currie Cup group and also the broader group from coach's perspective and from the players' perspective?
Our program is actually set out in a way that we're not in their space and they're not in our space whenever we need to field. So it's always good to have them around. There's in the hallway, you greet some guys I've played with Jesse and those boys, so it's fun to see them. But I think you probably want to know if we're learning something from them. We're not really involved or at their training sessions or actively watching, if that's your question.
Is this more around just the players?
Second?
Sorry.
Maybe he's asking if you're getting some.
Oh yeah, we've had the privilege of spending a week or 2 with the Springboks, so that's been good for us as a coaching group. Just getting some insights into 1 or 2 things and picking up a few nuggets. Obviously, just they're different guys, and the manner in which they do things. So that's been pretty cool for us as a coaching group.
And just lastly, just how are you, with this game particularly, there's the number of players that played in the URC that are playing in the Currie Cup. How are you managing the entire squad, just going into the competition and looking ahead at the URC as well?
Yeah, we funny enough, we don't have too many players who play in the URC. I mean, Jaco next to me, he played the last 2 games, and I think he came off the bench in about two of them. I think he's played 4 URC games out of 18 or 20 or whatever. Sorry. So part of the challenge of my job is to those folks who didn't get too much game time. I think VA only played 3 games. Rabs was injured for the better part of the URC, so didn't play much. So that's one part of the equation. The other part is we've got a whole host of maybe 18 to 20 guys who aren't eligible, but who aren't sort of part in the URC group, Currie Cup group at the moment. Notis and Franken and those type of guys. So they've come back now, returned and gradually picking up their paces from a pre-season point of view. And obviously we're looking to get 1 or 2 guys to boost our ranks, so that those folks. So we've got a policy that 1 or 2 guys, 1 or 2, 18, have been frozen for at least for the Currie Cup, that is.
One more, Ken, and then we can close.
Yeah. Mziwakhe, Angelo Davids looks a good signing. You guys managed to get the ball out wide into space quite quickly to him, and that is that the sort of way you want to play the season, or was that just specific for the opposition today?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. If you're going to have a guy like Angelo and Rubs on the edges, we're best placed to try and get the ball to them sooner rather than later. you know, that's the first part. The other part is that is part of who we are and the way we've played, and it's good to see that we've got onto it, you know, from last season. But yeah, Angelo must also hit his, you know, he'll hit his straps eventually. He's another one of that falls into that category where, you know, what's that? He must have played, like I said, 3 games in 2 seasons for the Stormers. You know, their favourite Ben Loda and the other guy Suleiman. So, you know, he's grown frustrated in his game. Probably hasn't improved at the trajectory that he'd like. So hopefully we can, before the start of the URC, have got him into such a place where, you know, he can compete, and obviously there's a vacancy with the departure of Edwin and those guys. So hopefully, you know, he can put his hand up to take a place in that URC team.
Cool, happy, thanks again. Right, thank colleagues.